Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. How can generations rise together hand in hand? And how do we dismantle the myths that say age limits opportunity? To every woman who's carried seasons of triumph and trial, this episode is for you. You're not on the sidelines of life. You are at the height of it. Every wrinkle tells a story, every scar a victory, every lesson a gift. Your wisdom is a torch, lighting the way for those who come after you, reminding us that true leadership only deepens with time. So tonight, we honor the women who inspire across generations, who prove that brilliance doesn't fade, it actually intensifies. So let's lift the veil on the old narratives of age and power. I'm joined by Janet Bray, Director of Human Resources at Pier Limited, where we will discuss women of a certain age, which is 45 to 65. Janet, welcome to Empowered. I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'm thrilled to be here.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. What do you think are the biggest advantages that women of a certain age bring to the workplace?
So, what I wanted to do when I was doing my research, and really this is so very near and dear to my heart, but I found an article from Fast Company, and I just wanted to read this quote because it really encapsulates so much. And it says, "There is something extraordinary about women over 50. They've spent decades navigating careers, families, and crises, learning empathy, patience, and resilience along the way. In business, these qualities are superpowers. They don't just delegate, they nurture. They don't just solve problems, they identify deeper human needs. They don't just mentor, they sponsor. Emotional intelligence, a skill that can't be quantified but is vital, sets them apart." Honestly, that says so much to me and spoke to me at every level. And it truly is women of a certain age bring so much to the table. They bring experience, they bring adaptability, resilience, diversity of thought. You think about all of those things in a business environment, and that's what we have been asking for from leaders for so many years. And then we have this whole segment of the population that has groomed that, has that somewhat innately, and we're not taking advantage of it. So I'm thrilled to be here to have this conversation with you because honestly, I think we're just getting started and there's so much that we bring to the table.
And you know what, Janet, I thought it was really interesting that one of the words that you read out was empathy. And we were told years ago that we would never make good leaders because we have empathy and good leaders don't. Wow, the tables have turned.
They sure have, and you know what? Congratulations for society understanding the value of that and humanizing leadership. I think that is one of the things you talk about empathy, but it truly is what women have brought to the table for so long, and now the currency has just been increased, and that makes me so very very happy. The fact that things, to your point, that we were told were negative, the tables have shifted, and now that is a positive. One of the things that I look at when we talk about things, for years and years and years, there was this pressure to conform. So it was, if you, to your point, if you show empathy, then that's a weakness. And now we're actually seeing those tables turn. And we have the luxury as women, and I will say human beings, to actually be our authentic selves and really raise awareness that it provides great leadership. It allows us to be more strategic when we understand the people around us. And there's no longer that need to conform to what a stiff upper lip leadership looked like.
And that's a really good point because we are at an age now where we lead, we mentor, we sponsor, we do everything that article had talked about. And now we are in our prime to help the future leaders because they've got to be better than us. They're the ones that will be carrying that torch to the next level and the next generation. So I'm really happy that the tables have turned and that, here we can talk about it and we can support each other and carry this conversation with the show. When we come back from the commercial, I want to talk about why women are overlooked in business. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's topic of discussion, the most overlooked asset class, women of a certain age. Now, Janet, why do you think women of a certain age are overlooked in business?
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I'll tell you the two big ones for me are I think society thinks we're winding down, that we're looking for an end.
Mhm.
Um, I could not disagree with that more. I think it is about the journey. I think it is we are now in a position where we can take all of that experience that we've had and really share it and really help organizations and people grow. I think another misconception is that possibly we're out of touch, that maybe we're less tech savvy, that maybe we are not as engaged in societal change. Again, completely disagree with that. I think what you'll see, or what you can see if you look, is that women of a certain age truly can be that bridge that fosters the change and brings those generations together because of some of the things we talked about a little bit earlier, our ability to empathize, our willingness to learn, to continuously learn, the need to want to be part of it and really mentor and be part of the change. So I think so much of what maybe was true is absolutely untrue. I think about when I talked about winding down and looking for an end. Um, I think about the difference between aging and being old. I'm not at all afraid of aging because I think that makes me better. I bring things to the table that I didn't have before. I would never think of myself as old. Other people might think of me as old, but I do not. And I think that's really one of the things that holds people back, is that it isn't about the number. It's not about the age itself. And that truly is a misconception. Is I'm not even close to winding down. I'm not close to being finished. And I don't think I'm alone when I say that.
You know, it's really interesting that you say that because recently, the past year or so, I've had so many people come up to me and say, "So when are you retiring? Are you going to work another year, another 2 years?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm in my prime. I created this show. I've got other things I want to do in my life. I'm not winding down. I'm like twirling up and winding up right now. I want to talk about your experiences, though. How have your experiences shaped your leadership style?
So to your point, I would say, like, this is the best time in my life for me. And it is because I have a lot of experience that I bring to the table. I will also say I was very fortunate. I had a mother who was very progressive. She was a single mother. She worked. But one of the things that I talked a little bit earlier about the pressure to conform, um, I have a brother that's 10 years older than me. And there was a point in my mom's career where she just stopped talking about him because it aged her and she didn't want people to know how old she was. Now, it is funny, but it's a little bit sad. So those are things that I bring to the table. I would say, so again, many things that my mother taught me from a professional standpoint, but also what I've learned over time is to be visible, to be vocal, to understand that I have a position, and that you evolve over time. I say this, I started out my career as an accountant because I thought to be in business, you had to understand math. I wasn't a good accountant, I'll be honest with you. I loved lots about it. I loved the meeting people, but I mean, I've evolved so much. And if I hadn't had that opportunity, or I didn't accept those opportunities, I wouldn't be able to offer the company that I'm with right now what I can. I wouldn't be able to offer my grown children the advice that I do, the young people that I mentor within the organization, or even the confidence to say, you know what, this isn't real, this isn't what I want to do. To your point, you've started the show, you've got all of this excitement. I feel the exact same. I'm not even close to being done. And I think the history that I bring makes me stronger and better.
And we do bring a lot of history because you and I were on the marketing communications committee, I think 20 years ago. That's when we first met. So we both have come a long way since then. Want to keep talking about women of a certain age with you, but we need to go to commercial break. So please don't go away. We'll be right back with more of what Janet has to say. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's topic of discussion, the most overlooked asset class, women of a certain age. Janet, you and I both believe that mentorship is really important. Some people have never had a mentor. Some people don't understand it. What role does mentorship play for this important segment in business?
It is absolutely crucial. When I think about us, I believe that we are the future for women. So if we can't be ambassadors and mentors for the next generation coming up, I don't think we're actually doing our job. And when I say that, it is being a mentor for young women extremely important, but it's important for us to be mentors for men too, because we look at the breakup of business and it is still overwhelmingly male saturated. We need to mentor them. We need to share our experiences with them. We need, with empathy, to help them be better, to help women be visible and vocal in the workplace. We need to share our experiences with these young mentees, whether they be men or women. And we really need to help them understand that for us as women of a certain age isn't about losing things, it's about embracing the evolution of us. And that's what we can do with this mentorship. It is, as we age, try and change the perception of that, that it isn't we're losing things because we are gaining age. We are gaining things because we have the luxury of age. And I think that is a true message that people just miss.
I actually like that, the luxury of age. I think we have to start, creating T-shirts or something saying that because, you know, it's true. You go to so many different industries, and there's so much ageism. So let's talk about ageism. What are the challenges for women in the workplace, and how do we overcome them?
So many, and you are right. I think ageism and sexism also. I
Yeah.
mean, the put those two together, the pressure to conform is another one. I'll use it in a different example than I did earlier. We live in a society where young is better. And women are forced to, I mean, if this is what you want to do, but it is younger is better. So oftentimes women are forced to do things to look younger, which is great if that's what you want to do. Sad when you feel like it is forced upon you. Um, I truly believe that the only way to combat those issues is again to be visible, to be vocal, to create um expectations of us, right? We don't want people, like we said, to be winding down. That's a personal choice. If people want to do that, great for them. But nobody should be telling us when it's that time. So for me to combat some of these things, it truly is sharing the story. People at my age, my peer group, the people that I work with and for, um, lots of people are super surprised when I say, I'm just getting started. I got a lot more to give. Other people look at me like, well, yeah. So it is sharing that message and making sure that everybody's story may be different and we need to help them get there for those of us who really truly believe there's so much more to give.
So what do you think are the most effective strategies for women to maintain their competitive edge?
I think it is mentorship, but it's also being ambassadors. It's also creating networks. It is holding each other up. Um, that again is how we're going to be more visible. That's how there's going to be more of us. So it creates representation. It's another real issue, right? When there are fewer women of a certain age at levels, we have to be louder. We have to be more visible. If we can increase the representation, that lessens the job on everybody. Um, so I think the strategies are just that: is share the message, create some strength, lift each other up. Well, again, I'll go back to mentorship and back to, we look at mentorship often to say, if you look like me, I can help you. What I think we need to open our eyes to is say, maybe I can help you more when you don't look like me. So maybe women of a certain age mentoring and helping and educating young men is also a very great position to start.
Those are key points. I think just mentoring everyone for the next leadership levels is really important. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more discussion of women of a certain age. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. I'm joined by Janet Bray, Director of Human Resources at Pier Limited, and we're discussing the most overlooked asset class, women of a certain age, which is 45 to 65. So, Janet, let's go. Last segment, there's so much to cover. How important is emotional intelligence for women in leadership roles?
I think it is of the utmost importance for a bunch of reasons. Is businesses need it and women have it. There are lots of things that are learned. There are lots of things that are innate. I think women of a certain age, because of life experiences of managing work, managing crisis, managing family, managing schedules, what they bring to the table with this emotional intelligence creates leadership. It creates cultures where people feel enabled, and hopefully cultures where people feel like they can drive change forward. We get to do that when we come to the table with this emotional intelligence.
So, we talked about future leaders, we talked about the next generation. How can women now break down barriers for our future generations of women in business?
So I used this phrase before, and I do that. I repeat myself because sometimes I think it's worth repeating. But I really do think we are the future of women. So how we can really help with this change is we lead by example, right? What are our hopes for women, the next generation coming through? Let's be aspirational. Let's live that. Let's show them that that's possible. Again, I'm going to say mentorship is so very, very important. We've got these years of experiences, this examples we can share for with women and young men, and if we don't share it, then the meaning of it is so much lesser. We also have to be advocates for change. We can't just talk about it. We actually have to encourage it. We have to be visible. We have to be vocal. We have to help other people help us make the change. And then I would say probably one of my favorite points that I haven't talked about right now is creating a space for diverse voices. Um, we have the power to do that as women of a certain age. We can welcome diverse voices into the conversation to really help raise the issue, make change, and allow cultures and society to evolve.
One of the things I want to add to that too is networking, because
Mm.
a lot of young women don't go and network, and, it is work. And I think it's one of the best ways to get out there, meet people, get the confidence that you need to be able to speak to someone, to be able to engage. So let's segue now to what role does confidence play for women advancing in their career?
Oh, honestly, it's everything. You have to start with confidence. All of those other elements that I shared, if you can't go in it with confidence and own it, the impact is Less, sadly. And I know, to your point, not everybody has confidence. Networking certainly helps build that. But when we talk about networking, it's also about building community. What gives you more confidence than knowing you're welcome and you're trusted and you have people that have your back? So it is about bringing that confidence so you can do all those other things. You have the confidence to be visible, to be vocal, to share your thoughts, to help somebody else. But truly, in the absence of confidence, we actually lessen the engagement. So confidence is first and foremost to be up there.
And I think one of the key things too is to be, I know I'll never fail at anything because I surround myself with pretty incredible men and women who, I don't need to know the answer to everything, but, you know, if I'm in trouble, I call you up or I'll text you and say, I don't know the answer to this. So I think that spurs a lot of confidence as well, where you surround yourself with really incredible people and they are there for you when you need them.
Completely agree. And that also, I think that's the confidence lends itself to vulnerability, that you're not afraid to ask. And I think that is awesome. When you have those people around you that you can go to and you're not afraid. You don't have to your point, you don't have to pretend that you know everything.
Best way to end. Thank you so much, Janet Bray.
Thank you so much. It really was my pleasure.
Janet wants you to remember the world needs your voice, your vision, and your presence now more than ever. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Bye for now.